This is Chris McDaniels. Like, subscribe to Team W Wrestling on YouTube, subscribe to my other channel, Word of Chris, and subscribe to this channel, Chris McDaniels, and follow me on all my social media accounts. They'll all be down there in the description box. And I'm here to do my AEW Dynamite May 7th, 2025 reviews. So here we're going to be discussing about tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. Now we kick off the show with Hangman Adam Page. Adam Page comes out there, but first he starts talking about Swerve Strickland, talking about the past and everything about what they've been going through for like the past 2 years. So yeah, that's what Adam Page was talking about there, and he says that he don't know if he can forgive Swerve Strickland for what he did to him and all that stuff, but he says that he's willing to actually put it in the past. So yeah, that's what he says there, and yeah, that was a pretty cool little promo from Adam Page. But then he jumps to Will Ospreay because he got some match against Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing in the finals of the Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament. So yeah, that's what he was talking about there. And then all of a sudden out comes Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay comes out there and he gets face to face with Adam Page, and he says that, you know, that he actually seen a smile on Adam Page's face for like the first time in a long time. So yeah, that's what he was talking about there when Adam Page beat Kyle Fletcher on Dynamite. So yeah, that's what Will Ospreay was talking about there. But then Will Ospreay says that, you know, that's cool and all that. Adam Page finally smiled for the first time in forever. But he says that pretty much that he had to do a lot of stuff that Adam Page couldn't do for like the longest time. And he says that he likes to see Adam Page get that redemption story and all that stuff, and same for the fans and all that stuff. But he says that he's been doing everything that Adam Page hasn't been doing, like doing meet and greets and all that stuff, taking pictures with the fans and all that. So yeah, that's what Will Ospreay was talking about there. And he says that he's going to be that top guy. He says that even though Adam Page should be the main character, he says that he's not going to be that main character. He says that he is, and he says that he's going to beat Adam Page at the Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament in the finals and all that at Double or Nothing. So yeah, that's what Will Ospreay was talking about there. But then all of a sudden they get interrupted by Don Callis and the rest of Don Callis' family. They all come out there, and Don Callis has some stuff to say to Will Ospreay and Adam Page. So yeah, he starts talking crap to Will Ospreay and everything, talking about how he never had a smart idea or anything like that. But then he starts talking about Adam Page, how Adam Page pretty much went on this whole rogue thing, how he's a crazy man and all that, and how he can't keep his sanity and all that stuff by, you know, went ahead and put his own mentor in a retirement home, and it pissed off Adam Page. And obviously Adam Page was ready to go after Don Callis and them. But then Will Ospreay grabs onto Adam Page, trying to get him to hold up, and then Will Ospreay says that, how about Don Callis bring two of his guys down there to the ring, and then they can all fight. So yeah, that's what Will Ospreay was saying there. But while he was talking and all that, Adam Page grabs onto Will Ospreay's hand and removes it off of him. And then they both start staring down like intensely and all that stuff. And then Don Callis looks at him and he goes like, you know what? That's a good idea. How about next week they'll have a tag team match? So yeah, that's what Don Callis says there. And yeah, it looks like that match is all set for next week's episode of AEW Dynamite. It'll be Adam Page and Will Ospreay teaming up with each other, taking on two members of the Don Callis family next week on Dynamite. So yeah, that's what's going to be happening there. But yeah, I like that segment. Really good segment. I really enjoyed it. Definitely go check it out if you have yet. Really good segment between all those guys. But yeah, then after that, we see Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler with Stokely Hathaway, FTR. They come out there and they get face to face with Tony Schiavone. And yeah, Stokely was talking crap to Tony Schiavone and all that stuff about Nigel McGuinness and all that, and he tells him that he can sit his ass down and all that stuff. And yeah, Tony Schiavone actually stood up and everything, and he got face to face with Stokely. And yeah, then we see Dax and Cash somehow they don't want to be focusing on him. They said that they didn't want to be focused on Daniel Garcia and everything, and they said that they had Daniel Garcia like a son and all that stuff, but then Danny wants to pretty much betray them. So yeah, that's what they was talking about there. So yeah, that's what FTR was saying, and then they were sending a message out to Daniel Garcia there. Pretty good stuff. But then, after that, we get to a backstage segment where we see Anna Jay and Harley Cameron talking backstage, and yeah, they was talking about the tag team match and all that stuff tonight, and yeah, talking about absences and all that stuff. So yeah, pretty funny segment. I really like that segment. It was pretty funny there. But yeah, up next we're gonna be seeing that match, Fatal 4-Way match up next on Dynamite. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite, we get to the first match of the night, where it was the AEW Women's World Champion, Timeless Toni Storm, versus Anna Jay versus Thunder Rosa versus Penelope Ford in a Fatal 4-Way eliminator match. So yeah. We'll get to this match. In this match, it was a pretty good one. I really enjoyed this Fatal 4-Way match. The crowd was into it, chatting, "This is awesome," and all that stuff. It was a really good match. Every woman was getting their moves in and all that stuff, beating the hell out of each other. In this one, we see some team ups like Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm double teaming Penelope Ford at one point and all that stuff. But then we started getting towards the ending of this match, where we see Megan Bayne coming out there, and Megan Bayne gets into the ring, hitting that big boot to the face onto Thunder Rosa, taking her out, and then she takes out Toni Storm as well, and then we see Harley Cameron coming out there with a lead pipe, attacking Megan Bayne and stuff, and they're both going at it and all that stuff, and everybody's going at it, and then it looks like Penelope Ford was going to try to pick up the win, but at the ending, she got rolled up by Toni Storm, getting pinned for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Toni Storm defeated Penelope Ford, Anna Jay, and Thunder Rosa in the Fatal 4-Way Eliminator match tonight on AEW Dynamite. That's what happened there. Great match though. I really enjoyed it. I'll give it 3.5 stars. That's why I'll give it. It was a great Fatal 4-Way match. But yeah, that's what happened there. Really, really good stuff. But yeah, there's still a lot more stuff to come later on tonight. I think Samoa Joe will be taking on Claudio Castagnoli, if I'm not mistaken, in the main event. And yeah, up next we're going to be hearing from the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, with MVP, the Hurt Syndicate, up next on AEW Dynamite. So yeah, they'll be coming out up next on Dynamite. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So, the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite, we get to the next segment of the night, where we see the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, with MVP, the Hurt Syndicate, to come out there to the ring. But while they was out there in the ring, we see Leo Rush and Action Andretti crew watching the segment in the crowd, but they don't do nothing for the rest of the segment, but they are there. But yeah. So yeah, the Hurt Syndicate, they come out there, MVP grabs the mic, and he starts talking about how this is called the best, well, the best wrestlers and all that stuff, but he says that the best tag team has not came up to confront their World Tag Team Champions, the Hurt Syndicate. So yeah, they were looking for challengers for the tag team titles. But then also out comes Darius and Dante Martin, Top Flight. Top Flight comes out there, and yeah, they come out there and they say that they want to be challenging for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, and they said that they haven't been on the best of luck, but they are not like crew, and they said that they are not scared of the Hurt Syndicate. So yeah, that's what he was saying there, and he was walking down the ramp, but then all of a sudden out comes MJF attacking Darius Martin from behind, and then he starts beating down Dante Martin as well. He beats down both guys, blooding both of them up, and then he grabs Dante, power bombing him on the ring apron, laying him out, and then MJF gets into the ring and he tells him that, you know, he done hurt at Top Flight. So yeah, that's what he was saying there, and yeah, he's all pissed off and everything, and then Bobby Lashley grabs the mic and he says that, you know, then he'll see him next week. So yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty interesting stuff. Definitely can't wait to see what happens next week on Dynamite. But yeah, pretty interesting there. But then after that, we see Matt and Nick Jackson, Young Bucks, and the AEW Continental Champion, Kazuchika Okada, the Elite, backstage. And yeah, Okada was talking about how he got Kevin Knight tonight, and he calls him a bitch, and he walks away. And then the Young Bucks was talking about Ricochet, and Ricochet comes up, and Ricochet was talking about how, you know, that he's going to help them out and all that stuff, because he says that he already done beat Swerve Strickland, and he says that he wants to give him some tips to help him out. And then the Young Bucks was happy about that, and they said that they'll see Ricochet later on tonight. So Ricochet walks away, and then they was walking into the locker room, and then all of a sudden they see the Death Riders in there, all of them, Jon Moxley and all of them, inside the locker room. And then he says, "Can we help y'all?" The Young Bucks says that to the Death Riders, and then they walked in there, and then Marina Shafir shuts the door, keeping the cameraman out. So yeah, pretty interesting right there. But yeah, up next we're going to be seeing Nick Wayne defending the Ring of Honor TV title. Up next from somebody in Christian's past. Up next from Dynamite. So yeah, see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite, we get to the next match of the night. It was the Ring of Honor Television Champion Nick Wayne with Christian Cage, Kip Sabian, his mom, the Patriarchy, at ringside versus Rhino in a one-on-one match for the Ring of Honor Television Championship. So yeah, we get to this match. Rhino makes his AEW debut on TV. So yeah, it was great to see Rhino, this somebody from Christian Cage's past. And yeah, we get to this match. This match, it was pretty decent. Christian was trying to get involved in Kip Sabian as well. At one point, Rhino hits a spine buster onto Nick Wayne, getting a 2 count of that. But then at the ending, we see Rhino try to hit the gore, and then Nick Wayne moves out of the way. And then Rhino hits the turnbuckles, and then that's when Nick Wayne hits the kill switch onto Rhino, pinning him for the 3 count. So yeah, Nick Wayne defeated Rhino tonight to retain the Ring of Honor Television Championship. That's what happened there. And then after the match ended, Christian gets into the ring, grabbing the TV title, and it looks like he was putting it around Nick Wayne's waist, but then he decides not to, and he starts looking at the title, and then Nick Wayne's asking him to hand him over the title, and then Christian just drops the title, and he walks out of the ring laughing and all that. So yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty interesting stuff, but yeah, for that match, I will give it 2 stars. That's what I'll give it. But yeah, it was great to see Rhino though. So yeah, it was great stuff to see Rhino make his AEW debut right there. But yeah, pretty interesting thing. But yeah, next we're going to be seeing a 6-man tag team match on Dynamite. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So, the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite, we get to the next match of the night. It was Swerve Strickland, Mark Briscoe, and Speedball Mike Bailey with Prince Nana ringside versus Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, and Ricochet in a 6-man tag team match. So yeah, we get to the 6-man tag team match, and this match, it was a pretty good one. All 6 of these guys beating the hell out of each other. At one point, we see everybody hitting moves, Canadian Destroyers, Swerve hitting that last call on to, I think it was Matthew at one point, taking him out. We see everybody taking each other out, with Martin Briscoe hitting the froggy elbow drop onto one of the Bucks, pinning him, and then Ricochet breaks it to pin at the count of 2. But then we see everybody taking out each other outside the ring and everything, and then we see Swerve getting the upper hand, but then Swerve tries to come in from the bottom rope and stuff, but then he gets rolled up in the inside cradle by Matthew Jackson, getting pinned for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, the Young Bucks and Ricochet defeated Swerve Strickland, Martin Briscoe, Speedball Mike Bailey tonight in the 6-man tag team match. That's what happened there, and Swerve wasn't too happy about that. But yeah, that's what happened there. Great match, though. I'll give that match 3.5 stars. That's what I'll give it. Actually, I'll give it 4 stars. It was a pretty good match. But yeah, that's what happened there. But then after that, we see Renee Paquette interviewing Will Ospreay backstage about what's happened tonight and then what's going on next week on Dynamite and all that stuff. But then he gets interrupted by MJF. MJF comes through and he says he wants to talk to everybody. And he says that his Dynamite Diamond Ring is on AEWshop.com, and he says he's making himself richer while everybody becomes poorer. So yeah, that's what Ricochet was. I mean, that's what MJF was talking about there. And then Will Ospreay says, "Why is MJF around still?" And then MJF was talking about how he wants Will Ospreay to pretty much win the Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament and go on to win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, so he could pick him to pieces and win his title back. So yeah, that's what MJF was talking about there. And Will Ospreay was talking about, well, how's your arms doing after I dropped you on your neck last year? So yeah, that's what he tells him there. And then MJF wasn't too happy about that. And then he says that he will beat Will Ospreay and stuff if he does win the world title. And then Will Ospreay was talking about how MJF was too scared to enter into the Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament because he knew that Will Ospreay was going to be in it. So yeah, that's what Will Ospreay was saying there. Pretty good segment right there backstage. But yeah, up next we'll be hearing from Jamie Hayter up next on Dynamite. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So, the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite, we get to the next segment of the night where we see Renee Paquette interviewing Jamie Hayter backstage, and yeah, Jamie Hayter was talking about Mercedes Moné and all that stuff, and then they was trying to talk about the back injury. She says that she is perfectly fine. She says that she don't want to talk about that. She says that she wants to move forward and talk about Mercedes Moné and all that stuff. She says that she will defeat Mercedes Moné in the finals of the Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament at Double or Nothing. See, that's what she was talking about there, and she says that she's getting sick and tired of Mercedes and all that stuff, but then all of a sudden, the TBS champion Mercedes Moné comes up attacking Jamie Hayter backstage, and then Jamie chased her, and then all of a sudden the brawl comes out there pretty much right there on the top of the stage and all that stuff, with both women fighting and all that, but then Jamie Hayter was trying to hit the Haterade onto Mercedes, but then Mercedes ducks him, runs backstage, and then Jamie turns her back, and then she looks at the crowd and all that stuff, and then that's when Mercedes comes back, attacking Jamie Hayter, locking on the bank statement pretty much onto Jamie Hayter, laying her out. But yeah, that's what happened there, pretty good stuff. But then after that, we see Willow Nightingale getting interviewed backstage, talking about Death Riders and all that stuff. But then all of a sudden, Chris Statlander comes up, wants to talk to Willow, and then she says that she don't want to talk to her. She understands that she's sorry and all that stuff. But yeah, she says that she don't want to talk to her. And then Chris Statlander was walking away, and then Willow looks at her and says, "What about, let's go ahead and go to the ring tomorrow night on Collision." So yeah, that's what she says there, and Chris Statlander says, "Alright, see you there." So yeah, that's what happened there. But up next will be Kazuchika Okada versus Kevin Knight 1-on-1 up next on Dynamite. So yeah, that match will be up next. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Until then. So the next thing that happened on AEW Dynamite, we get to the next match of the night. So yeah, we see the AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada versus Kevin Knight 1-on-1. So yeah, Okada already makes it to the ring, but then while Kevin Knight was making his way to the ring, also he gets attacked from behind by Roosh. Roosh comes up and starts beating the hell out of Kevin Knight, throwing him into the barricade and all that stuff, but then also Speedball Mike Bailey comes running down there, making the save, chasing Roosh away, and then he's checking on Kevin Knight, and then the ref comes out there checking on Knight as well, and then Kevin Knight wants to continue on to go on into this match. So yeah, we get the match in the way, and then Okada was taking the upper hand and all that stuff, going after the injured neck of Kevin Knight, getting 2 counts and all that stuff, and then Kevin Knight starts fighting back, trying to roll Okada up for a 3 count, but Okada barely kicked out at 2. But then at the ending, we see Kevin Knight springboard off the top rope, and he gets hit with a nice drop kick by Okada, and then Okada hits the Rainmaker onto Kevin Knight, pinning him for the 3 count. So yeah, Kazuchika Okada defeated Kevin Knight tonight in a 1-on-1 match, but then he picks him up again, hits a second Rainmaker onto him, and then he picks him up again, about to hit a third one, up until Speedball Mike Bailey comes running out there, chasing Okada out of the ring, and then he checks on Kevin Knight. So yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good stuff for the match, and what happened before the match, after the match, I'll give it all 3 stars. That's why I'll give it pretty good stuff. But then after that, we see Don Callis backstage with Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero backstage, Roppongi Vice, and he says that, that Roppongi Vice will be taking on Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page next week on AEW Dynamite in the new tag team match. So yeah, that match is now set for next week. But yeah, up next will be the main event. It'll be Samoa Joe versus Claudio Castagnoli 1-on-1 up next on AEW Dynamite. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So, the next thing to happen on AEW Dynamite, we get to the main event, but before we talk about the main event, we gotta talk about a segment that happened backstage. So yeah, we see the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin with MVP, the Hurt Syndicate getting interviewed backstage about MJF and everything, and they said that they'll be talking to MJF next week, either to give him the thumbs up or thumbs down next week on Dynamite. So yeah, that's what they said there, and they had a special counsel too. But yeah, then after that, we get to the main event. It was one half of the AEW Trios Tag Team Champions, Samoa Joe versus Claudio Castagnoli 1-on-1 in the main event of Dynamite. So yeah, we get to this match, and this match, it was a pretty good one. Both of these guys were beating the hell out of each other back and forth. At the ending, we see Claudio try to spin onto Joe, but then Joe fought out of it, locking on the Coquita Clutch onto Claudio, making him tap out. So yeah, Samoa Joe defeated Claudio Castagnoli tonight in a 1-on-1 match, but then after the match ended, we see the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Marina Shafir, the Death Riders, coming out there through the crowd and stuff. And then, we see Powerhouse Hobbs running into the ring with a steel chair in his hands, and the Death Riders will not get into the ring. And then Claudio was getting back up, and then Powerhouse Hobbs hits him in the back with the chair, and then they set the chair up, and then Samoa Joe picks up Claudio, dropping him chest first onto the steel chair, laying him out. So yeah, that was the end of Dynamite right there. Pretty good stuff for the match. And what happened after the match, I'll give it all 3 stars. That's what I'll give it. It was a pretty good one. But yeah, for match of the night, I gotta say, it was probably that Fatal 4-Way match from earlier tonight. That match was pretty good. But yeah, for tonight's AEW Dynamite, I'll give it 8.5 stars. That's what I'll give it. It was a pretty good show. Definitely like the opener of Dynamite for damn sure. That was pretty good. That promo segment with Will Ospreay and Adam Page, that was pretty good. And there were some good matches. So yeah, that's what I'll give tonight's AEW Dynamite. Like, subscribe to CW Wrestling on YouTube. Subscribe to my other channel, Word of Chris. And subscribe to this channel, Chris McDaniels, and follow me on all my social media accounts. It'll be down there in the description box. And I'll see you guys later for this Friday Night SmackDown reviews. See you guys later. Till then.